Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how you can turn awkward looking movements, or how you can go from looking awkward to looking much more confident, sexy on the dance floor. These tips, I tested them on my clients. I help them go from looking a little bit awkward, stiff on the dance floor, not sure what they're doing, to looking great out there and being able to enjoy themselves dancing. So the first thing I want you to notice and pay attention to is what types of movements you're doing. You have just so many options of different movements. I want you to notice which movements are kind of troubling for you, which ones you're not feeling good about. Maybe you have like specific body parts that feel a little bit stiff or awkward. Don't use those moves. Find something else. There's so many different options. So let me give you an example. This is what I notice my clients complain about the most: the upper body, right? It's the most visible on the dance floor. If you're doing something smooth with the hips, but the torso looks stiff or arms look weird, it just is not helping. So one of those body parts that often is very problematic is the chest. Okay, we don't know how to move this, but there are so many movements that look amazing that include the chest motion. For example, body rolls, all kinds of chest rolls. But if that body part is just not moving as good as you want it to move, don't use it. There are many other moves. You can focus on the hips, maybe hips and arms, footwork, just skip the chest. Practice those moves at home with the chest, work on it. For now, when you go out, when you're on the dance floor, pick other stuff. Once the chest is better, then start including it into your movements. Otherwise, if you do it too soon, it will impact how your everything else is looking. I'll give you an example. If, let's say, I'm doing a little step out with like an isolation to the back, my hips, my pelvis, let's say that's easy for me, but I want to include this type of motion where I push the chest out, but I don't have mobility there. It just looks rigid. Look how it makes the lower body look. Like if I'm struggling, if I'm like really trying too hard, now this looks bad, right? So only if you have the motion down, only when you're feeling comfortable with it, that specific body part, only then include it. Or for example, arms. You maybe like the movements where we have arms over the head, those smooth looking moves that you see a lot of people do, but maybe you feel uncomfortable moving your arms. Don't force it, it's not going to look good when you're forcing the movements. Instead, find a position for the arms that's more comfortable for you, and this way it will also bring less attention to you. So if the arms are, for example, like chest level or belly level, it will be much easier for you to feel good doing this than like forcing the arms and bringing attention to you when the arms are not ready to be there yet. Because remember, this is the most noticeable position for the arms, right? So something in front of you so the arms don't stand out so much. Tip number 2, slow it down. If you're trying to do those smooth, sexy movements, but you're kind of rushing through them, you're doing them quickly just to get them done, you're missing out on looking smooth. Really, because it's the slower movements that make us look like we're enjoying doing them, we're taking our time. They will always look more sexy. And a good example of those are, for example, figure eights, body rolls, right? Let's say I'm dancing to a slow song and I learned figure eight recently, so I want to show it off. So I'm not going to do it quickly, even though maybe you can do it fast. Notice how different it looks if I slow it down. Even slower. You can mix maybe slow with the faster options, but if you always go quick, it doesn't look the same. Same thing with the body roll. Like, why? Slow it down. Feel the music. And it's easier to do it slower anyway. Okay? Always slower. Remember, for especially those feminine, smooth hips, arms, we want to slow it down. Number 3, you want to look like you're into whatever you're doing. That looks sexy. That always will look confident. Couple of different ways you can do that. You can lip sync as you're dancing. That shows that you know the song, you're into the music, the words. You can smile from time to time, not all the time maybe, but even like if you look down and you're smiling at yourself, just to yourself, it's a different look than you're having like straight face and trying to do the movements, because that always makes us look like we're focusing on what we're doing, right? So smiling, showing the energy, looking down on the hips. Let's say you're moving the hips side to side. What I would do is, instead of looking straight ahead, that's unnatural, you want to look sideways at the hips. So that will also bring attention to what you're doing, to the movement, and you're not looking like you're, okay, what do I do next? Am I doing it right? That doesn't show confidence, that's the opposite. You also want to like move your head a little bit, so tilting from time to time, so that you're moving the neck. It will also make the movements look more relaxed. It actually feels good. Like, you don't want to look at one point the entire time, because it's very unnatural. It will make you look stiffer. You don't want that. So experiment with those options. And another way you can bring attention to kind of what you're doing and show that you're into what you're doing is by using hands. So I'll give you a few examples. So for example, if we're doing the hip roll, and if I'm keeping the arms just neutral, that's what it looks like, just neutral. But look what happens when I start touching the hips or having my hands like close to the hips. You're immediately looking at this portion, right? So it brings attention to what we're doing. It can be a little hold, little tap, just keeping the arms close in that area. Or I like to do this motion, like a little takedown. I would use my hand to push the hip down. And then again, it looks totally different than this. You see the difference? Like, it brings more attention to it. Or let's say I'm doing something with the chest. It's kind of blended if I just move the chest, but now look what happens with the arms. Right? If the arms are on this level, the hands, you're immediately looking there. Or if we have like a scoop going down the body. Four, you want to watch your facial expressions, because the movements won't look confident or sexy if you look hostile. If you look like you're like focusing so much on what you're doing, if you're thinking about what do I do next, we don't want that. So I always say the easiest kind of way to cover up that maybe you are thinking or you are uncomfortable is just smiling. Like, that always helps. I do it in every single video. I just smile to myself, and it makes our movements look automatically more confident, and it makes us look more confident as well. So if you maybe are not used to smiling, and it's kind of weird to, you know, practice smiling when there's no one else in the room, you're dancing by yourself at home, it's weird, right? At a party, probably you will have friends around, so it will be more natural to smile at somebody. But to practice it, this is what I want you to do. Any movement that you're doing, first practice it a little bit so you know what to do. But after you have it, maybe it's kind of weird if you look straight ahead and smile. It doesn't look natural at all. But what I like to do, my little trick, is looking down from time to time at the hip and just smiling to yourself. Like, it doesn't have to be you looking straight ahead. It can be just that facial expression to yourself. Like, don't think you're doing it for somebody else. Just enjoy what you're doing and smile. Automatically, even that will make you look better dancing. Like, other people will notice the smile, even though it's not directed at them. All right, those are my favorite tips. This is what I do at every single party. If you have any suggestions on how we can make the movements look more sexy or how we can look more confident dancing, leave them in the comments below. Let's learn together, and I will see you guys in my next video. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell to be notified. But I will be posting a lot more videos. Hopefully you enjoy them, and I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye, guys!